So is Airbnb really dying, or is it just the hype of the Airbnb bust to clickbait people into clicking different YouTube videos? By the end of this video, I'm going to give you my take being an Airbnb host from 2016 to today, and what are the steps and what do I see going on with different states and laws and HOAs and zoning issues, and then you can make an informative decision whether or not you want to be an Airbnb host in 2024 or you want to sit on the sidelines and watch everybody else blow it up. So let's talk about it first. Let's talk about a couple different states. We all know that in the United States, we have a total of 50 total states. I'm going to name 3 areas right now. I'm going to give you the states and I'm going to share with you some of the data that Airbnb has put out that would really kind of help you understand what's going on in these areas. Let's start with California as a whole. California as a whole basically said, listen, we're going to put a tax, a 15% tax on short-term rental platforms in a certain areas so that, just so you guys know, would actually bring in more money to bring in more properties. It's not to stop Airbnb, it's not to stop short-term rentals, but that extra 15% tax actually lets more buildings being built so that you can have more Airbnbs and so that the demand would actually come down slightly in the short term. And that's what the state of California did. Contrary to that, New York, the state, said, you know what? We're gonna ban short-term rentals. The city banned it. Unless you actually live in the property, they are allowing you to basically do house hacking, which is a fancy way of saying you live in the property and you can rent out a couple rooms to some guests that come in. Other than that, you're not allowed to do short-term rentals. You can do midterm, so that's 30 days or more. Okay, they're trying to keep down the short-term rentals so that the housing market, where people are just trying to rent for their family, there's not a shortage because investors are coming in and purchasing or renting all these properties to put on short-term rental platforms. So contrary to California, New York basically said, no, California actually raised not for the purpose of depleting short terms, but actually bringing in more money to build more properties. Third one is actually Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, Las Vegas, Nevada has a very tricky thing there because the tourism is one of the highest tourism in the country because of the strip of Las Vegas Strip. That being said, what Las Vegas said is, we don't want people doing Airbnbs right here in this area because that's going to take the money away from the casinos and the hotels and people staying right there where somebody could go to obviously a lot cheaper and go stay in an Airbnb, okay? Now, I just gave you 3 total states, right? California, New York, Nevada. Now, there's a total of 50 states. When you talk about an Airbnb bust, when you talk about, is this thing going down? Is Airbnb dying? Let's look at the facts. There's 50 states, 3 of them, and I just gave you 3 states in total. Now, what I'm telling you is that some of those states, okay, still allow Airbnb or short-term rentals. So, in reality, there's 20,000 cities. If really only 3 or 4 cities basically said no, you still got, 19,990, whatever it is, okay? So, in totality, the reality is this. Most states are still very, very good for short-term rentals and Airbnb. So here's one thing that I can see that is going to affect Airbnb hosts, myself, and if you're watching this because you're looking to get into Airbnb, I can tell you that one thing, actually 2, are things that I think need to be addressed, and that is the fees are outrageous. These Airbnb hosts are putting on cleaning, okay? Until you learn, and at the end of this video, I'm gonna show you how to optimize that, but until you learn how to regulate your cleaning, people are coming into Airbnb and say, I'm not paying that crazy fee to stay at someone's place. You understand with hotels, you don't pay a cleaning fee? Think about the difference. You come to an Airbnb and the cleaning fee is tacked onto the price. Now, in reality, if it's a daily rate plus a cleaning fee is what the people that are coming to stay at your place are actually paying, sometimes that's a lot cheaper than getting multiple hotel rooms for different families. So if you're traveling with a group of 5-6 people, 2 kids, husband, wife, you're gonna have to get 2-3 rooms, right? With an Airbnb, the whole family can stay in one place. They only pay 1 cleaning fee for the whole stay. It's not a big deal. But the point is that what hosts are doing now, because cleaners are actually raising their prices and they're not doing it for cheap anymore, now the guests that are staying there are saying, I don't want to pay this outrageous $300 fee to stay in an Airbnb. That's number 1. Number 2 is this outrageous list that some of these Airbnb hosts are putting for their guests to stay there for them to do before they leave the property. Do the dishes, take out the trash, wipe the countertops, vacuum the floors. Nobody wants to come on vacation and then have to do all this work before they leave. I'm gonna give you a solution for both of these in a second and how I really think that it'll help you as coming into the business, or if you're an Airbnb host already, and some of the things you can do to actually optimize these 2 things. Because I think it's gonna really, if it continues to get worse, the scale is just gonna get worse, increase increasing price of cleaning, more laundry list of things, and obviously people are just going to say absolutely not. They're going to go back to hotels. So let's go back to excessive cleaning. One of the things that we optimized was we started our own cleaning company. And the reason for this was because the cleaners, third-party companies, were charging outrageous fees. For example, on a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, we were getting charged about $250 per clean. I want you to do the math here so you can see the money that you can save by doing it the way I'm doing it. The first thing is, let's say that it's $250 for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And let's say on my side, what I'm doing now for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, I got one cleaner who spends about 3 hours in the property, which would be about 3 hours in a property doing a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and I pay her $20 per hour, 20, 40, 60. So we pay 60, you hire a third-party company that you're paying $250 for. So now look at the delta between 60 and 250. You're talking about $190 extra per clean. And if you clean it on average, probably if you got a good occupancy, you're gonna be cleaning probably 6-7 times a month. So now take that $190, multiply that times 6 or 7 stays, and now you're talking about $1,400 that is extra that you don't have to pay out to the cleaners that goes in your pocket. This is the Airbnb bust. And I'm gonna tell you something. This is the reason why people are busting out. 2 reasons. Number 1, cleaning fees are outrageous. They have not figured out how they can just hire somebody to do it for 20 bucks an hour. Number 2, they end up paying these management companies because they don't know how to manage a property. They've never learned how to manage a property. I teach my students this, to do it in less than 15 minutes a day. But what they're doing is they're hiring a company, a third-party company, and giving away 25% of revenue because they're like, I don't have any time. Guys, if you don't have 10 minutes a day to run your business, you don't need to be doing this business. Why give away 25% of your proceeds to another company to run it? That's why Airbnb bust was a real thing, because people, Airbnb hosts, are really busting out because they're paying outrageous fees in cleaning. They've had a long laundry list of these things that they want all these guests to pay. Their occupancy is dropping tremendously because of these things. And they are at the point where they're just like, look, my occupancy is dropping and I don't understand why. You're paying excess fees, crazy excess fees for the cleaning. And now you're paying 25% towards a management company. There's no profit. Why would I get into business and pay these outrageous fees for cleaning for a third-party company and pay 25% to a management company when I can do it all myself, hire somebody for 20 bucks an hour to clean a property, manage yourself any amount of properties, whether you have 1 or 50 properties, the management is probably 10 to 15 minutes a day when I show you how to automate it. And you're talking about saving, and pocketing all those cleaning fees times 190 bucks. So if you're not doing this, guys, this is the reason why you're getting hosed in Airbnb. This is what I teach my students. That's the solution, guys. Don't hire a management company. Don't worry about your fees. Try to get somebody to help you clean for 20 bucks an hour. I will help you with this. I've trained cleaners. I've had a cleaning company for about 15 years now, family owned. Absolutely crushes you in Airbnb when you do it this way, okay? You save a lot of money, hands down, no question. And the next thing is saturation. And so you hear a lot of people saying, I don't know if I'm gonna get enough guests. Here's what you need to do. Let me give you some metrics. Saturation is basically where there's a massive supply of Airbnbs. So you got a lot of people Airbnbing and just not enough guests coming in, right? So if there's not enough guests coming in demand, then what happens is all the supply right here ends up being low occupancy. You end up lowering your occupancy because you guys are going into Atlanta, you're going to Chicago, you're going into Miami, you're going into Orlando that are so overpopulated with Airbnbs, and your occupancy drops because the amount of people that are coming in, they have to spread it between more properties. I'm gonna give you the metric right now. Saturation, I don't believe in it. I do know that it is a thing if you go into really, really, really heavy populated Airbnb areas, but other than that, there's so many different areas to go into. And by the way, if you don't live in one of these cities that I'm gonna give you here in a second, guess what? You can run this business from your cell phone as long as you have a Wi-Fi connection. So I'm gonna give you a couple cities as well, don't worry. But when it comes to saturation, here's the thing you wanna look for. When you're looking for a market, you go into airdna.co. Don't get the free version. My students get the top level AirDNA access. I paid $2,000 a year for it. It's the best of the best. Now, what you're looking for is you're looking for a market that has less than 10,000 people in the market. You can find it right down AirDNA. We don't want more than 10,000 people in the market because over 10,000 we can fit into saturation. Number 2, you want more than 250 people that are Airbnb in the area. So that way we can have some data, not just 3 or 4 people that are Airbnb in a city. So more than 250, less than 10,000. Another metric you want to look for is the market grade. That goes from 0 to 100. You want to be 70 or higher. It'll tell you right there on AirDNA. The third thing that we're looking for is the occupancy. I like 58% occupancy or higher. 58% 20% or higher, you should be in a decent market. And lastly, you want to make sure that your average daily rate is more than $150. It'll tell you right there. If you fit all four of these, you have a decent market for Airbnb. Now you just take your property, you put the data inside of AirDNA with that market right there. Now you know what market to be in, and now you can start searching properties to see if the numbers make sense. Okay. If you guys need help in understanding how the markets work, understanding how that works, understanding like, hey, I want to get into this, but I don't really understand it. Mike, I'm brand new. I got you. I got the Airbnb Super Bowl this Friday, guys. This Friday, 8 p.m. is literally the most anticipated Airbnb training on the entire planet. It's this Friday, 8 p.m. You can head over to my TikTok, Investor Mike. There's a link right there. And I will post a link inside the description box where you guys can register for the training. Do not miss it. I don't care if it's your daughter's wedding. Do not miss this training. It's absolutely going to be epic. Every second of every minute is going to be power packed with value to help you guys understand how Airbnb arbitrage works. Arbitrage is a fancy way of saying we're not buying the property, we're just renting the property from a landlord, getting their permission to put it on Airbnb. That's it. Airbnb bust is not going anywhere. I'm going to tell you straight up, in my opinion, it ain't going anywhere for a very long time. I got back in 2016. It's now 2024. It's still crushing it. It probably is not going to go anywhere for the next 15, 20 years. Get in the game now. Stop sitting on the sidelines, watching everybody else build a portfolio of empire while you're sitting back going, hey, I wonder if it's going to be a bust. Stop. Take action. Figure the rest out later. And here's the thing. If I was brand new or if I was acquiring another property right now in an area, I'd want to be in Nashville. I would want to be in St. Augustine, Florida. I'd want to be in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. I'd want to be in Waco, Texas. I'd want to be in Sedona, Arizona. I'd want to be in Santa Clarita, California. These are areas that I would want to be in. I want you to think of warmer climates. Warmer climates do better in Airbnb, not the colder climates, okay? So that's the first thing. Try to be around the 4 H's, hills, hospitals, hotels, and H2O, meaning any property that has a pool or hot tub will always do the best, okay? These are some things. I'm giving you guys the game so you can win the game, okay? If you need help at all, put the word Airbnb in comments. But what I want you to do is register for the Airbnb Super Bowl, which is this Friday, 8 p.m. Mark your calendar now. The link is in the description box. Also, follow me on TikTok at Investor Mike. You'll see the link there in the description as well. God bless. Be safe, guys. I want to give you all the game I can give you so you can win the game of Airbnb. Let's roll.